All right, people, we are live. We're going live right now to talk about the fact that Thugger Daily, our friend, our inside source, just posted information that Brian Steele's motion to disqualify lawyers Love and Hylton from the prosecution team has been denied. So some people were wondering, like, is is this still in the air? Like, I asked this question in the stream yesterday, like, hey, are we still waiting on this? And it seemed like some people were maybe not really sure. Like, are we are we still waiting on this? Like, where do we stand with this? But it appears to me that yes, we were still waiting on it, and it also appears that it has been denied. So we're gonna take a look. We're gonna read this now. As of now, Thugger has only given us one page. I think he got this from, man, I forget the guy's name, but Joseph Paz. He's I think actually in the courtroom or in the courthouse every day. So we want to give a shout out to him. I don't remember his exact name. Somebody throw it in the chat once you see this. But let's go ahead and read through this one page that we have now, and we will keep checking back to see if perhaps we can get some additional pages. Also, y'all, I'm in one of the world's loudest countries, okay? So you will hear some background noise. You will hear some motorcycles. You will hear some people playing dominoes. You might hear some babies crying. You might hear some dogs barking. It is what it is, all right? So let's go ahead and just read through this real quick and see what it says. So this is the state of Georgia versus Jeffrey Williams, defendant. This is the order denying defendant Williams' motion to disqualify lawyers Love and Hylton. Defendant Williams asserts that prosecuting attorneys Love and Hylton must be disqualified from the case because they are critical witnesses in the case. Defendant cites Ms. Love's exchange of text messages with the witness and both prosecutors' participation in the June 10, 2024 ex parte meeting with the then trial judge, a state's witness, and that witness's attorney, arguing that they must be examined so that the jury can consider whether the oh man, this is so small. Sorry, I gotta try to make this bigger. How can I make this bigger? Oh man, I'm gonna have to see if I can grab my glasses. Let me grab my glasses. All right. So they consider whether the predecessor trial judge was biased for the prosecution in this case. The defendant seeking disqualification of prosecutors in a trial bears a heavy burden of proving that such an extreme action is warranted. See Lewis v. State. And Lewis v. State says it is the burden of the party seeking to disqualify counsel to prove the extraordinary remedy of disqualification is warranted. Under Rule 3.7 of the Georgia Rules of Professional Conduct, the party moving for disqualification of a lawyer must generally show that the lawyer, quote, is likely to be a necessary witness, necessary in italics, a necessary witness, end quote, by demonstrating that the lawyer's testimony is relevant to disputed material questions of fact and that there is no other evidence available to prove the facts or those facts. Now, as of now, this is the only page we have. Oh, we got the second page. All right, let's continue then. All right. Cleaned up, emphasis added. And our appellate courts have instructed the practice of permitting counsel for a oh man, it's tiny. All right, what I'm gonna do, y'all, I'm gonna try to grab this. I'm gonna try to save this copy as an image and then make it bigger because this is just tiny. I can't see this. So at any rate, this is essentially the judge saying that she is going to be denying the motion to get rid of Love and Hylton. You know what, y'all? Let's be honest. Let's be honest. We made a video this morning. We released this video this morning that says Love and Hylton may just be uh, unprepared. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to represent the people's sentiment. I'm trying to represent what the people say, right? So I'm not necessarily saying it's my opinion that they are unprepared, but I am saying that the people are saying that. And I'm also saying that YSL, particularly Bruce Murphy, says, look, they had 2 years to get all this stuff together. It's still not together. They should have been prepared, right? So this is a general sentiment among the people watching, the spectators like us. It seems to be a sentiment among Max Sharp, who also made comments about the evidence not being ready for the prosecution. They weren't ready to point out to the defense which evidence they were going to use in trial. And Bruce Murphy said, look, 2 years later, they still haven't gotten this ready. So it really does seem like there is a general sentiment among the spectators, us here at home, among the lawyers. These are the people for the defendants for YSL who are watching. It seems like there's a general sentiment that they are unprepared. Now, if you agree that they seem unprepared, you do have to kind of ask yourself, do you want, if you are a Young Thug fan, if you are a YSL fan, or if you're just a person who's looking at this whole thing and saying, this is wrong, like, I don't like the way this is going, you do have to kind of ask yourself, should they be asking for the judge to remove unprepared prosecutors and replace them with better prosecutors, replace them with people who are going to be more prepared? I mean, at the end of the day, you want to win, right? So I get you want a fair trial. We always want to see a fair trial for people. But when the trial, as as Weinstein said yesterday, when the trial has been unfair all the way through the first 76 witnesses, you can't then make it a fair trial starting from witness 77 forward, right? Because the trial is irretrievably unfair because it has been broken from the beginning. So you do have to ask, like, while it could be points scored against Love and Hylton, if they were removed, those could be like points scored. It could be like, oh, kind of like gotcha. But if they're not doing a good job, don't you want people who aren't doing a good job to continue not doing a good job? If your end result is you want these brothers to walk free of what seem to be trumped up charges that don't have enough evidence, charges that may be overcharging, like putting a RICO together where it seems like there is no RICO. Would you rather another prosecutor comes in who has all the T's dotted, who has all the I's, all the T's crossed, all the I's dotted, who can pull this together and make it some kind of semblance of something? And you see what I mean? So sometimes I think the defense, I know they know more than I do, so I'm not putting myself in a position to question their strategy. But sometimes it seems like, if they're removed, what happens next? Another prosecutor would have to come in. And it's true that other prosecutor would have to get caught up to speed and all that sort of thing. But what if that next prosecutor is doing a good job? What if they have the ability to get caught up to speed? What if they're better? What if they are on top of everything? What if they have more persuasive arguments? What if they're not rude in court? What if, you know what I mean? So it's almost the kind of same thing with the mistrial. You ask for a mistrial with prejudice. Well, the judge can grant you a mistrial with prejudice or without prejudice if there's going to be a mistrial. So when you go for that mistrial, if you're winning this case, again, I'm just asking as a lay person, certainly not questioning the strategy, but you do have that question, right? Like, okay, we want a mistrial. And as a lay person, you do have that question, like, okay, what if we get a mistrial? Then the state says, okay, we'll just start over. We'll just start from day one. Now you have the defendants who are probably going to stay in jail. You have the state who are probably going to make some changes, to tighten up whatever they need to tighten up. And it seems like it could overall turn out to be something that works against you, particularly if you're winning, particularly if you have this trial with all of these problems. Imagine you get your mistrial. Can you even appeal this trial at that point? That's something I would like for somebody to let me know. This is a question I have. Say you get your mistrial. That means essentially there is no verdict. Nothing happened, right? We need to start over if you get a mistrial without prejudice. Can you appeal that? Like, can you appeal the fact that the mistrial was granted without prejudice? Is that even an appealable ruling? Y'all, by the way, let me turn my cell phone on because I'm streaming from YouTube and I'm not able to see any comments right now. So let me see if I can grab my own self here so I can see some comments. Here we go. So y'all gonna see me looking over here toward the comments. Okay, so Kim C said, I'm glad you went live. Thank you. Y'all can see I'm not shaving or anything. I didn't have a chance to get myself. I just saw Thugger Daily drop this document, and I was literally just telling my wife, need to connect more with the people who watch our videos. I need to do more lives, etc. So I saw Thugger Daily just drop this this paperwork here, and I said, let me go live. Let me see if I can make a connection with the people. So just as a recap for anybody just tuning in, Thugger Daily just dropped some paperwork. It says that Brian Steele, who's acting as a lawyer on behalf of Jeffrey Williams, Young Thug, they had requested to remove Love and Hylton from this case. I'm going to reread it so I can get a clean reading of this, y'all, hopefully. But it's just, one of these is really tiny. So the Judge Judge Whitaker has denied the motion to remove Love and Hylton from the case. I was just kind of going off of my own tangent, my own speculation that, it does seem like you would score points removing bad attorneys. But if they're doing such a bad job that they're unorganized, that they're not persuasive, that their case doesn't seem like it's coming together well, that their indictment is not well written, that Love is just turning in all kinds of motions, that even somebody on my level, which is not very high, I mean, law school grad, I've been around, but I'm certainly not an attorney, and I'm not a practicing lawyer, or I'm not admitted to the bar. I'm a guy who went to law school, right? But you can just read these motions by Love and say, I don't know if she, and look, I'm not going in on Love, y'all. Love, if you ever see this, I'm not trying to go in on you. Okay. I know a lot of people dislike Love, but I'm just saying, like, trying to be objective. Like, I've seen some of these motions and I'm like, she's got to be pressed for time. Like, there's no way she has enough time to just elaborate the way she wants, because you want to be concise, but you definitely want to elaborate your point so that you can be persuasive. So if you're going up against attorneys who may be seeming to act in bad faith, but also who just aren't that persuasive, like, wouldn't you want to keep those attorneys on the case? Even if getting them kicked off the case would score you some points. So maybe Brian Steele's strategy is, way out there, and I'm sure, there's a million things I don't know, but he's going up against what seems to be competition that is not near his level. And if he were to successfully remove that competition, you have to wonder, would that just be grounds for a mistrial? Would it be like, okay, now I got them off the case, now I'm going to have even more fuel for a mistrial? Or would it be, okay, well, you got them off the case, well, now we're going to bring in the big dog. Now we got this person who's going to come in. This person does take time to write their motion. This person is organized. This person's computer does not overheat in the middle of trial and turn off at a critical moment. So you do have to wonder that whether or not having somebody who's weaker removed wouldn't just allow for somebody who's stronger to come in and do a better job. So again, I'm not in a position to judge the attorneys on the state side, how good of a job they're doing. But the attorneys on the defense, they seem like they're winning. And there's certain things that I've seen that I think we all have seen. We say, man, like there's no way the state can win with this. Like the writing, the preparation for questions. The judge told them 10 days ago, hey, I'm going to be asking you about this, so be ready. 10 days later, they're in court, judge like, okay, what about this? And they're like, can we have some more time? It's like, what's going on here? You know? So I'm going to read this again. So the main takeaway though is, and thanks to Thugger Daily for posting this, Judge Whitaker has denied Young Thug's request to remove Love and Hylton. Okay? So I'm going to read this here. So this is the order denying defendant Williams' motion to disqualify lawyers Love and Hylton. Defendant Williams asserts that prosecuting attorneys Love and Hylton must be disqualified from the case because they are critical witnesses in the case. Defendant cites Ms. Love's exchange of text messages with the witness and both prosecutors' participation in the June 10, 2024 ex parte meeting with the then trial judge, a state's witness, and that witness's attorney, arguing that they must be examined so that the jury can consider whether the predecessor trial judge was biased for the prosecution in this case. A defendant seeking disqualification of prosecutors in a trial bears a heavy burden of proving that such an extreme action is warranted. And then she cites Lewis v. State. Under Rule 3.7 of the Georgia Rules of Professional Conduct, the party moving for disqualification of a lawyer must generally show the lawyer is likely to be a necessary witness by demonstrating that the lawyer's testimony is relevant to disputed material questions of fact and that there is no other evidence available to prove the facts. And our appellate courts have instructed that the practice of permitting counsel for a party to be called as a witness should be discouraged as a matter of compelling need only. There is other evidence available. I believe this is the next page. Sorry, y'all. The way Thugger Daily uploaded this, I'm not 100% sure if this is the next page or not. Dang, he just put something else up. Okay. I think this is the next page. Okay. So, let me continue. Y'all bear with me. Sorry. There is other evidence available. The text messages at issue were introduced at trial as State's Exhibit 35 AAB, and the witness has already testified. A transcript of June 10, 2024 ex parte transcript has been filed. So there are other sources readily available to establish the content of all the matters cited in the motion. Defendant argued orally that he must be able to prove why the prosecutors did what they did and said what they said, and only the prosecutors can provide that information. However, why the prosecutors may have engaged as they did is not a relevant, much less material fact for the jury's consideration in its determination of this action. On the question of any potential bias of the predecessor judge for or against either party, a relevancy and materiality evaluation under OCGA section 24-4-401 yields the same result. Upon consideration of defendant's motion, the state's response, oral argument thereon, and applicable law, defendant's motion to disqualify prosecutors Love and Hylton because they are allegedly necessary witnesses in this trial is denied. All right, y'all. So sorry about that. Something else just came down from Thugger Daily, y'all. So this is a motion for jury instruction. We might as well go ahead and read this too. But first thing, I want to just say a couple of words about this. The judge, this kind of should not come as a shock to anybody who watched a couple of days ago. It was clear, I think it was Tuesday, it was clear that the judge was alluding to the fact that Brian still needed to convince her why he needed to call Love and Hylton. And he said on the spot to tell why they did what they did. And the judge she wasn't convinced of that in court. And it did seem like an uphill battle from there. So Brian still really needs some kind of argumentation about outside of the why. Like he would need to elicit from them additional information as to what happened. But the judge is saying we already know what happened because we have the text messages and we have the ex parte transcript. So if you can't get more information out of them about something that actually happened, not the why of it, but the what of it, what happened. So the judge is saying if you're not proposing to get more what out of them on the stand, and even if you were, you need to be kind of drawing something out of them that we can't get somewhere else. Like we have the text messages, we have the transcripts. If we already have another source of the what, then I'm not going to let you put them on the stand. So basically what Brian still would need, if this is going to be his argumentation, is that he needs to put them on the stand to get more information about what happened, not why it happened, but what actually happened. And it has to be information that cannot be readily verified, accessed, documented in another way. And because he didn't propose that, the judge is denying it. Okay. So just taking a look at some of the chats here. I see some people going back and forth. Let's see here. All right. Looks like y'all just having a conversation among yourselves. Everybody, please do me a favor. Hit the like button. And let's look at this next thing that Thugger Daily just posted. He just posted, what is this? Let me open it up here. Let me share my screen so y'all can see this. Okay. This is a Young Thug's lawyer has filed proposed in. Oh, okay. Y'all, can y'all hold up? I'm waiting to see on my screen over here. Can y'all see my screen? Oh man, is it just going black? All right, I don't know. Maybe this YouTube screen share is not working well, so I'm gonna feel like it's working. This is kind of important, y'all. This is Young Thug's lawyer has filed proposed instructions for the jury to hear when they return from the 1 month break. Oh man, but this is not the whole thing. This is just the first page. All right, y'all, let's wait for Thugger to get this whole document up. And while he does, I want to ask y'all, what do y'all think? What do y'all think should be the jury instruction? Let's get some feedback in the chat. Summer for Life says yes, they need to hear it. I don't know if you're talking about this jury instruction, but y'all start giving me some feedback on. Okay, so this is the question. The jury has been out since June 10th. I think they were in the courthouse that day. Woody was testifying June 10th. And then that was the day that Brian still had his confrontation with Glanville. Glanville threw him in jail that day. And I don't believe the jury's been back since then. So the jury will come back approximately 2 months later. Okay, they'll be back sometime next week, which will be approximately 2 months later. So the question is this, and we've seen this happen in court, where Brian still is saying to the judge, I want to tell the jury exactly what happened. They need to know everything. And we can see that the judge, if you're being charitable with her, you would say that the judge is trying to maintain a need to know basis with the jury. People who are uncharitable with the judge is saying she's covering for Glanville and she doesn't want to throw him under the bus. Either way, the judge is very reluctant to allow the jury to hear from the lawyers that Glanville was removed for misconduct. But he was. And so you do have to add, okay, so we can all agree, and let me just summarize this. Glanville was removed for misconduct. Okay? But he was not removed because he conducted the ex parte meeting. I hope everybody is clear on that. Glanville was not removed for conducting the ex parte meeting. Felicia Cortez says a few already know it's tainted. Of course, some of the jury know what happened. 100%. We made a video about that too. See, with some of these videos, some of these things are very sensitive topics, and we don't want to call the process into question too much, because we don't want, we don't want to, like, some of our titles are a little, love got cooked and stuff. Yeah, it's a little provocative, but we still want to respect the process. And we do want to ask the question, is the jury possibly tainted? But we don't want to go all the way in and say, oh, well, they must know, because that's sensitive, y'all. You know what I'm saying? God forbid one of them actually sees that video some kind of way. You know what I mean? So we have to be respectful, But with that said, I'm saying it now, 100%, 100%, y'all, 100% that they have seen some of this. Think about it. Because, okay, we made a video, in that same jury video, somebody was like, well, because we were talking about, are they even getting their $25 a day? It looks like they're not getting their $25 a day right now, because they're on like a pause or a break. Whatever it is, whatever the status of this is, it looks like they're not getting paid for the moment. And so somebody made a comment. She was like, well, whenever I do jury duty, I still get paid at work, so it doesn't matter. And I'm like, okay, fine. But think about this. That means, like, if you're on a break, you got to go back to work. Chicky Brewer says, thanks for doing the live. Yeah, y'all, I'm going to be doing more and more lives. One of the reasons I'm not live right now is I'm in the Dominican Republic, y'all. I don't live here, but my wife's from here. My daughters were born here. You know what I'm saying? And it's loud here. And I'm always thinking, man, this is going to be a lot of background noise. Like, I don't know if y'all can hear the bachata. No, that's salsa. That's salsa. I don't know if y'all can hear the salsa, but, like, here people just play their music as loud as they want. Like, my neighbors right here, they just got their music all the way up. So I'm like, man, that's not going. But I guess I'll just go live, and the people who are not too bothered by it, they'll just ride with me and rock with me. And the people who are bothered by it, y'all can watch me once I get back to the U.S. So anyway, we were talking about this. You hear it, Lady Ray? I told you. Yeah, salsa, they right here. Thank goodness it's only one neighbor, because it would be over here, it would be over there, it would be upstairs. Anyway, but yeah, y'all rocking with me. I feel good about this. So anyway, back to the jury thing. So the commenter said, well, I get paid, so while I'm on jury duty. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking, yeah, you get paid. Okay, you get paid while you're on jury duty. But you know what doesn't happen when you're on jury duty for a year? One, you're going to miss out on training opportunities. You're going to miss out on projects that you could have taken on and maybe moved up in the company. You're going to miss out on advancement opportunities. Like, people don't go to jury duty for a year regularly. That's one. But also, two, when you're on a 2-month break, you go back to work. So you telling me wherever you work, all of your coworkers are going to say, oh, don't talk to him about the case. Oh, don't tell her that. The first thing they're going to do is like, yo, why did they remove Glanville? You'll be like, what? They removed Glanville? Yeah, you didn't hear? You'll be like, well, I'm not supposed to know that. I'm not supposed to know that. Well, you know it now. So why did they? I don't know why they removed him. Oh, well, I heard he had a secret meeting. A secret meeting? So it's impossible that they don't know. You go to check your Yahoo email, and it pops up, YSL judge removed or something. So it's impossible that they don't know. It is literally impossible that they do not know. So the idea now, whether that taints them or not, I'm not gonna say. I don't know, but I know it's impossible that they don't know, and I would say it's impossible that I would, if I had to bet $1 million, I would bet that in as much as all 12 of them are normal, regularly connected to the world people, nobody lives out in the woods, off the grid. I would literally bet $1 million that they all know Glanville is gone. I would feel very comfortable betting $1 million just right away. Yes, they all know. Even if one of them doesn't know, I'll lose the million. I'm betting all 12 of them know. Period. Belfast, BMAC, DR hit different. I'm deep in the DR streets, yo. I'm deep in the DR streets. Like I said, I got kids, and my kids, 10 and 11, they were both born here. My wife is like Dominican. When I say that, I just mean she was born and raised. She wasn't born in the States. She didn't even go to the United States till she was like 25, 26. So she from here. So yeah, so like I've been everywhere in this country. This is where I'm here quite often. So anybody gonna be coming to the DR, hit me up. Punta Cana, Puerto Plata, Santo Domingo. You just let me know. If you need some help or advice. So anyway, back on track, y'all. So what I'm doing, I'm kind of making some small talk. I'm waiting for Thugger Daily to drop the rest, hopefully, of this document where this document is going to say the instructions that Brian still wants to give to the jury. And so we were just talking about, what does the jury already know? I feel like treating the jury with respect would be to acknowledge that they probably already know something and to tell them what they can and cannot take into account as the trial goes forward. Like, just treat them with respect. Kayvon, shout out to my DMV bro. Yes, sir. Baltimore born, but definitely DMV raised. Baltimore born, but only born. Like, literally lived in Baltimore as a kid, zero amount of time. But yeah, DMV all day, man. Is Baltimore part of the DMV? I think that's an interesting question. Y'all. Is Baltimore part of the DMV? I kind of feel like Baltimore is its own thing. Yeah, Baltimore is kind of like, I think the DMV probably ends at Montgomery County, Prince George's County. I think when you get to like Anne Arundel County, you stretch in the DMV at that point as it goes. No, Moco is definitely DMV. But Baltimore, I think Howard County, you kind of Columbia and that, you kind of getting outside the DMV at that point. By the time you enter Baltimore County and Baltimore, you out. I mean, it's its own thing. You know what I mean? Got love for Baltimore for sure. But again, we're just kind of making a little bit of small talk because I don't want to start reading this when I only have like the very first page and the other pages have not hit yet. So y'all just bear with me if you're wondering why I'm kind of talking off topic a little bit. I'm not sure if Thugger's going to drop the whole thing. If he doesn't drop in the next few minutes, we'll just read what we have. Arlington, VA, definitely DMV. Laurel, definitely DMV. Calvert County, I would say that's tough. Calvert, isn't that past Charles County? I say Charles County gonna be the end of the DMV to the south. That's me. So I'm a Baltimore Bama. It's a Bama. That's what I call my kids, y'all. I call my kids, get over here, Bama. They don't even know what a Bama is. I don't even know if people say that anymore. But I've been saying that so long, and I don't know, one day somebody gonna say, "Oh, you a Bama," and they were like, "I know," and the person will be like, "You aren't supposed to say I know that. That's an insult." They were like, "My dad been calling me a Bama my whole life," and he gonna be like, "Your dad shouldn't be calling you a Bama." Oh my gosh, I remember that when I was a kid. Okay. let's see, Lady Red. The ex parte in and of itself isn't illegal or judicial misconduct. However, the state and the county had a duty to inform the defense of this critical stage with the witness that was already sworn. Okay, y'all, can I just clarify something with the ex parte? Hopefully, and I'm doing this because it's hot here. I got this. It's hot here. Your boy don't have any hair. Blame God for that. And I don't want to turn my fan on because that might mess with my audio. So I'm just gonna be working with a quick little wipe down every so often. Okay, so that's just the way it is. Let me make something clear, y'all. I can say this with 100% certainty. The ex parte meeting, the ruling, there is only one current ruling on the ex parte meeting. And that ruling is, I want to say it's doubtful that it's even a ruling, because as they discussed in court, this factual ruling was the whole point of recusing Glanville. When Judge Cross recused him, when she took him off of the case, she did not take him off of the case due to the ex parte meeting. So she kind of didn't even have to give an opinion on the propriety or impropriety of the ex parte meeting. Judge Cross really didn't even have to talk about that. But she did dedicate a couple of lines to the ex parte meeting and how appropriate or inappropriate it was. And she said very clearly that the ex parte meeting was not inappropriate. It was not wrong. She didn't say it was, I don't remember her saying, yeah, it was, it was the right thing to do. But she definitely did say it was not the wrong thing to do. She said, yeah, you could have done it in open court, but, whatever. So it wasn't that there was not even a ruling that, or an opinion that they should have told the defense afterward. Because if you remember, the ex parte meeting happened at about 9 a.m. and the defense called it out in court at about, I don't know, maybe 2 p.m. the same day, something like that. So really, there wasn't any time for them to call the defense to the side and give them a transcript. And it's just a few hours later. So there has been no ruling that the ex parte meeting was wrong, that this particular one with Glanville and Woody and Bumpus, there has been no ruling that it was wrong. There has been verbiage that may constitute a ruling, may or may not. I think they discussed this in court, but there's been verbiage from Judge Cross that the ex parte meeting was not wrong. And there has been all of the motions and everything that the defense has thrown at this case, with the base of it being that the ex parte meeting was inappropriate. It has all failed that I can remember. Somebody correct me. Okay. So the defense has used the June 10th ex parte meeting in numerous motions, and I don't remember seeing any of those succeed on a basis of the ex parte meeting. And if it is something, maybe I'm missing something, but if there were anything, it might be, hey, the state needs to reveal this to us or something. Maybe something like that happened. I'm not 100% sure, but there hasn't been anything monumental or big that's happened, or any kind of rulings that have come out in the favor of the defense as a result of the ex parte meeting from June 10th. Now, the ex parte, Lady Red is talking about the June 7th ex parte meeting. We don't know what is going to be the outcome of this revelation that really just came out, the transcript for which just came out yesterday. By the way, y'all know Kat Knott Williams. Kat Knott Williams, she has a reading of the June 7th ex parte, which came out yesterday. So this was June 10th was a Monday. That's when Bumpus and Love and Woody were all involved in Glanville. So that was a Monday. 3 days earlier, June 7th, on a Friday, they had another meeting that no one was aware of until this week. The transcript for that ex parte came out on yesterday. Kat Knott Williams, she read that on her live yesterday, and she chopped it up and made it like a standalone video. So y'all check out her channel. And there you can hear her read through it if you just want to. Kat, by the way, she reads really well. I'm still practicing, just getting my reading nice and smoothly. But Kat, she reads really well. So if y'all want to hear all of the dialogue that happened from that day, go check out Kat Knott Williams. So as a recap, that ex parte meeting from June 10th has not yielded anything. Even Judge Glanville's recusal. Oh, Kim, see, you love my reading. Look, y'all, I am practicing. One day I'm like, my reading's gonna be like, yo, I remember when this guy was just good, but now he's the best. Okay. Even Judge Glanville. Oh, but thank you for everybody who does like my reading, y'all. And I want y'all all to know, everybody who's on this live, who watches our content, who supports us. Like, this is so humbling and it's excellent. What's a better word? It really feels good to be able to interact with people and say no to AI. Okay, I'm going to address this. I did not address this in the last video where I used AI, but I'm going to address it now. Because I do not want to ever feel like I have to justify myself and my creative decisions. But I will say this now on live, since y'all brought it up. I used AI a couple of days ago, and you know the reason why? Because it's so freaking loud here. I could not read that without just having so much background noise that I felt it would have ruined the video. So I'm like, with these videos, you have to get these things out like now. You can't wait 4 or 5 hours from now when everything is quiet, when everything is calmed down, because by then somebody else has made the video or some other document is dropped. And like, this stuff is fast moving. It is very fast moving. So I'm like, I'm faced with a dilemma. Do I, one, record everything with way more background noise than you hear right now, one, or two, do I wait until later on? No guarantee that my front neighbor across the street won't just put his music on 50, and then I just can't do anything basically until tomorrow. Or do I just go with AI? So I went with AI. So now y'all have an explanation. It would not have been my first option to go with AI, but I found it a better option than, again, the amount of background noise that I had. I just felt it was unacceptable. Okay, and definitely bring the noise. Okay, next time it's gonna be like blah, 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 and I'm like, hey, Summer for Life told me I need to bring the background noise. Okay. AI reads worse than me. That's like a backhanded compliment. AI is much worse than you are. It's like, okay, you suck, but AI sucks worse. Okay. Can I tell you the truth? Thanks for the explanation, because I stopped watching your AI video. Again, so what I didn't want to do is put that as a response. Now, I could have put it before anybody said something. I could have certainly put that in the description. Hey, y'all, just so that you know, blah, blah, blah. But once somebody said, hey, I told you to, he's like, I told you to stop using. I'm like, you can't tell me, you know what I'm saying? You can say, hey, bro, you know what I mean? Just a reminder, we prefer, cool. But the first comment I read was like, I told you to stop. I'm like, yo, at that moment, I'm like, nah. I'm not justifying anything. I'm not explaining anything. Forget it. Because you just can't come at me like you told me to stop something. Like, you can't tell me to stop. How you gonna tell me to stop? Like, if it has something to do with you, okay, you can tell me, hey man, I don't like that. Fine. But you can't tell me to stop something. So anyway, that was the whole point of that. So again, I think the first comment I read was a bit confrontational. That just made me stand my ground. And the fact is, I might use AI again, y'all. Like, AI is developing. I certainly don't want to say I will never use AI. I mean, come on. Like, we did the AI reading of the transcript, and that blew up. that blew up. So just to recap this AI thing, I prefer to read it myself. Why? One, because most of my feedback is y'all like it. It's faster. Reading it myself is typically faster because AI makes a lot of mistakes. But again, while I'm here, if y'all hear the salsa in the background, sometimes it is like booming. And it's like, this is a video that's going to live on. You know what I'm saying? Somebody watching this video a year from now going to be hearing freaking, Tito Sarante singing, whatever in the background. I'm just like, I don't want that. So anyway, y'all. Anyway, that's the explanation. So everybody on this video has that explanation. So I appreciate that. Still checking with Thugger Daily, y'all. I don't see that he has dropped the rest of this. So I'm just going to read y'all what I have. Now. And I guess maybe somebody else will pick it up later. So first thing we did, we went over the fact that there was a motion from Mr. Jeffrey Williams, Brian Steele, Young Thug. They wanted to get Love and Hylton removed from the case. I gave my own personal kind of opinion question, which is not questioning the strategy so much because I'm not in that position, but I am questioning. I do wonder, I should say, if removing what seems to be not the most competent prosecution team from the trial would be good, because I think we would all agree that it doesn't look like the prosecution at this point is making their case. And if this trial is going to go to verdict, you want the weakest prosecution. I mean, you want a fair trial, right? But the prosecution has to prove their case. So, you want the prosecution to be as bad at proving their case as possible. You know what I'm saying? So you want the prosecution to be as bad at proving their case as possible if you want to win. So if you have a prosecution who seems to be bad at proving their case, are you then going to say, well, by the way, y'all, I can't turn off my phone because that's where I'm able to see the chat. It didn't pop up for me on YouTube. So, if it rings, it rings or whatever. So do you want to remove a more or less not good prosecution? You know what I'm saying? So I for me, I kind of feel like you do want to score those points. You do want to put Love and Hylton on their heels. You do want them to know, look, we're coming at you. You want them on the defense, defending themselves as much as possible, because that takes time away from prosecuting your client. So that's also another part of strategy. So it could be like Brian Steele is like, look, I know they're not, the chance of us getting them off the case is 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000, but just throwing these darts at them constantly, just constantly coming with stuff, constantly. Maybe that's part of the strategy, where it's like, I just want them constantly knowing I'm on something, and I'm not going to stop. Like I can launch these motions at them all day and all night. That might be part of the strategy. So just to take even a little bit of their already limited resources, just to take that off and have them thinking about whether or not they're going to be removed or defending all of these motions and that sort of thing. So I can certainly see that also as part of the strategy. Dwayne Mansell, I need beer and popcorn for this. Blake made a variant, says, excellent point, Blake. Blake said, obvious problem is Krause's decision was made without June 7th ex parte, as that transcript was hidden. Motion to reconsider findings of fact in the granting of recusable should be filed. Findings of fact, that was the term I was looking for earlier. If I remember when they discussed the findings of fact in court, it seemed like there was some, not dispute, but some uncertainty, even with Judge Whitaker, as to if that was even a real finding of fact or not. Like Judge Whitaker, they seem. I'll have to go back and watch and refresh my memory. Isn't that going to be the like one of the terms from this trial, like refresh your memory, because so they can introduce that evidence. Hey, would you like for us to play the video to refresh your memory? But anyway, I need to watch the video back, Blake, to refresh my memory on that. I do think that in as much as it was a finding of fact, Krause put it in there for a reason, right? So we do kind of have to say, okay, well, she put it in there. So if it's in there, it's not in there for nothing. So it is, let's just say it's a finding of fact. There was nothing wrong with the ex parte meeting. That's a finding of fact. Okay. So then we come to Blake's motion. Blake's making a motion to reconsider the finding of fact in Krause's decision by using the June 7th ex parte. Now, Blake, there's so many different videos we can make. This is such a good video because it's a good question for a video, because what I do remember Whitaker saying is this is not a reviewing court. So Blake, while I kind of agree with you that it would be good if Whitaker could review Krause's finding of fact in as much as it was a finding of fact, Whitaker also said, look, basically, I'm not an appeals court, so I can't overrule. So now you also have to have a question as to, can maybe Whitaker could just make her own ruling on it. I don't know for sure that a motion to reconsider or more or less overturn Krause's finding of fact would be appropriate, not to Whitaker, because Whitaker is on the superior court the same as Krause is. How's she going to overturn something that Krause found? Now, could Whitaker just make her own finding de novo? She's just looking at it from the ground up. She's not looking at Whitaker's finding. She's going to make her own finding. So also I think that's another thing that y'all should pay attention to. Like sometimes the way these lawyers, what they ask for, sometimes it's just wrong, y'all. Honestly, sometimes they ask for the wrong thing, and the judge will deny it, not because they couldn't have gotten it if they had asked for another thing, but because what they asked for was wrong. And the judge's like, nope. This could be one of those things where if you make a motion to reconsider Judge Krause's finding of fact, Whitaker could say, I'm not an appeals court. I'm not a reviewing court. I can't do that. Whereas the correct motion would just be, I would like a finding of fact for this thing. Does that make sense to everybody? So I think that I'm saying the motion should be filed with Krause's court supplemented. Also, you're saying you should, okay, so Blake, you're saying go back to Krause. That's interesting. I'll be honest with you. I don't know enough. I just don't know enough to know if that could happen, and two, if it did happen, and if Krause were willing to review her own decision, and if she were somehow to change her decision, how that would affect everything. Because as Whitaker rightly pointed out, the defense wanted a result. The result was Glanville gone, and he's gone. So that was something else Whitaker pointed out the other day when they talked about this matter. It's like, okay, let's say Krause were to reopen the case on that one point as to the appropriateness, as to the propriety of or impropriety of the ex parte meeting. Krause says, okay, with this new information, I will now change my opinion and say that actually it was not appropriate. It wasn't cool. Well, either way, Glanville's gone. That's what they wanted. They only provided that evidence as a way to get Glanville gone. He's already gone. So if Krause were to go back, redo her opinion on that point, on that fact, say that it was inappropriate, still, how does that help them now? Cross's opinion on the propriety is not binding on the current court. Cross is not, she's not an appeals court. So you really do have a lot of very interesting questions here. Would Cross's opinion on the appropriateness of this question would it even matter to the current court? Because the current court doesn't seem to be bound by Cross's opinion on the matter. I think that the more appropriate way to go about it is to just try to get this current court to find that it was inappropriate. The problem with that is you do have this, they're not bound by Cross's decision, but you do have Cross who has made a decision, and that decision is contrary to what the defendants currently want. So we will see, y'all. We will see. Blake, let's look, whenever we make a video about this, Blake, please come into the comments. Make sure, please do comment on this, because this is an open question. I definitely think you're onto something with the fact that it's in the defense's interest to get this ex parte meeting by using the June 7th ex parte meeting to get the June 10th ex parte meeting, and kind of like the whole, it's kind of like not a single thing. It's an incident. It's not a sole incident. It's multiple incidents that formed a bigger narrative in a sense. And I do agree that they will try to use. Max Sharp has already done that. I mean, his emotional outburst. By the way, we made a video yesterday on Max Sharp. I watched that video multiple times. When you're editing a video, you just keep going back over and over. And I was like the more I watched it, the more that was really emotional, y'all. Like, seriously. And the reason why I felt it was so emotional, because when I first watched it, I was like watching a guy who I was like, yeah, he's emotional. Like, Sharp is emotional. But when I went back and I started editing in some of the times Glanville was rude to him, that's when I felt it. I was like, yeah, this dude, he's like, it's like I felt the emotion at that point. Because I was like, man, Glanville was rude to this guy many times. And the worst part about it was all of this was coming out and Glanville wasn't even there. And it's like, Sharp finally was ready to just go on his quest. But the person who he was questing against wasn't even in the courtroom. And it's almost like a movie, y'all, honestly. That was almost like a movie moment, because that was true. Sharp talked too much. Look, that was true emotion, and it had a true history and a background to it. But again, Glanville wasn't even there to see it, so maybe he'll see it at some point. All right, y'all, let me get back to this. I'm going to read this real quick. Again, I've been kind of making small talk this whole time, waiting for Thugger Daily to post the rest of these jury instructions. But it doesn't look like this is coming. Let me see if somebody else has it real quick. If not, we'll just read what we have. No. Let's see here. There's rumors Woody might plead the fifth again. That street cred is getting to him. Jason, what you mean that street cred is getting to him? You mean now that Woody's like a star, y'all. That's another video that we decided against making, a video specifically just about Woody and what has happened with him, kind of like his rise to fame. I'm sure y'all are all aware that Woody has been blowing up lately. But it's not that. I think it's fascinating. Woody has become a very like I was watching DJ Academics, and he was talking about Woody is this, Woody is that. He was really kind of going in on him. And then once he started playing Woody's 20v1, like within 5 minutes, Ack was like, oh man, this guy kind of likable. Like, there's something about him, man. He just has something, just being himself. And but Blake, what do you mean he might plead the fifth again now that the street cred is getting to him? Are you saying that now that he kind of like back out in the streets and whatnot, he might just prefer to reestablish and maintain his reputation? So let me know. Daniel says Woody's testimony is worthless. Um, it has been. It seems like it's been worthless. Y'all, talking about Woody is a very, very sensitive topic. I saw somebody on No Jumper. Y'all all familiar with Brick Baby? Brick Baby on No Jumper? Brick Baby on No Jumper. Uh, Again, see that all this is sensitive, y'all, and I'm trying not to be a purveyor of rumors. Let's just put it like this: Brick Baby on No Jumper had his own theory on who was responsible for what happened to Nut. Let's put it like that. And so I'm going to insinuate something, but of course I don't know who did what to whom, but I do know Brick Baby. You know, he has a narrative that he's putting out there. How would he know? I don't know. Okay. So I'm not even saying he's credible in this, but he does have ties to Atlanta, and he does claim to know Thug, to have lived in Atlanta, and to know Thug and Woody and all them personally. All right. So y'all take from that what you may. All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and read what I have, the little bit that I have of this. Let me see. Young Thug's lawyer has filed proposed instructions for the jury to hear when they return from the month-plus break. This will actually be about a 2-month break. So let's read it. Again, Thugger Daily, I appreciate you, bro. But this is definitely better than nothing. But just so that y'all know, we only got one page of this for now, so let's go with it. So this is the motion for jury instruction. This is what Brian Steele, this is what Jeffrey Williams, this is what Young Thug wants to say to the jury when they return, okay? Comes now, Mr. Jeffrey Williams, by and through undersigned counsel, and hereby files this motion for jury instruction in the above referenced case. In support of this motion, Mr. Williams shows as follows. Mr. Williams is innocent of all charges in the above referenced indictment. That's number one. Number two, in light of the recusal of Judge Glanville, Mr. Williams respectfully requests this honorable court provide the following instruction upon the return of the juror to court for trial. Okay, this is how it's supposed to read to the jury. So imagine this is what you're reading to the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, Judge Earl Glanville is no longer the judge presiding over this case for which you have been selected and sworn to try. Judge Glanville was removed as the presiding judge in this case. You are not to concern yourself with this change. In a trial, none of the decisions of the court and nothing that any judge says is evidence. The decisions and remarks of a judge do not mean that the judge favors, leans to one side or another in this case. You are to disregard any comments made by Judge Glanville that were disparaging to the defense lawyers in this case. To maintain the integrity of the jury system, I remind you that you must decide this case based only on the evidence admitted during the trial and the law I will explain to you. Okay. So that's all we have that's all we have now. Thugger only has one page, so that's what we have. Julie says, I'm sorry, I would be concerned if I was the jury and you read this to me. Let me say this. Think about this. Glanville has had outbursts, or what you might consider to be outbursts, at different periods throughout this trial. You're a juror, you go home, and you're home for 2 months. You come back, every single juror is going to know Glanville was removed because of an ex parte meeting. Will they have looked deeper into knowing what the ex parte means and why it's inappropriate and all? Who knows? But they'll all know that he was removed due to an ex parte meeting. So they will already know that. Every last one of them will know that. So you come into court and they're going to read you this instruction. It's going to say Judge Glanville is no longer the judge on the case. You already know that. Glanville was removed. You already know that. And you are not to concern yourself with this change. You probably already know that they're not going to tell you exactly why. But the interesting thing is, you are to disregard any comments made by Judge Glanville that were disparaging of the defense lawyers in this case. Y'all see how slick this is? Let's be real. Brian Steele is being slick. Now, is he purposefully being slick or accidentally? Because you can be accidentally slick, y'all. And I'm certainly not questioning his motives here, but it's still slick either way. See, what he's saying is, think about it. Hey, y'all, Glanville's gone. He's just gone. Don't worry. But he might have said some bad stuff about these people. And if he did, just disregard that. It almost implies that he's gone because he said the bad stuff, if you think about it. Because first you say he's gone, then you say, and if he said bad stuff about these people, disregard it. It almost sounds, when you put those two things together, it almost gives the impression that I'm not going to tell you why he's gone, but I'm going to give you like a hint, hint, wink, wink. It's because he said some bad stuff about these people, even though we know that that's not the case. But if you're a juror listening to this, you could certainly get the impression that he's gone because he said some bad stuff, right? So if Brian Steele gets his way, the jury, he's starting off saying to the judge, we don't need to say why, because the judge doesn't want to say why. Okay, judge, we don't need to say why. But Brian Steele, I have a legitimate concern that Glanville said I was unprepared, that he said I was unprofessional. So I have the right, I have a very legitimate reason to say whatever he said about me, we need to instruct the jury to disregard. But when you put those two things together in this fashion, it sounds like he's gone. Don't worry about why, jury. But he said some bad stuff about these people, so disregard that. And it just creates, okay, Dee says not slick, strategic. Okay, strategic. The word that came to mind was slick, but we can say strategic. That's fine. Again, I'm not trying to say slick in a bad way. I mean, you should be freaking slick if you're a defense attorney, right? I'm not. Now, if I said unethical, that would be different, but I don't see it that way. That's not what I'm saying. When I say slick, it's cool. It's like, again, he might not even, because this is a very big concern for Brian Steele, so he might not even have done it with this purpose. But just as I read it, it just comes across to me as, okay, it will probably hit the jury that way, at least to some of the jurors. They're going to say, oh, well, I wonder if he's gone because he talked bad about this guy. Because first they said he's gone, and then they told us whatever bad he said about these people, we need to disregard it. So I'm just saying, putting those two things together could create an impression, right? So that's all I have on this, though, for now. So I'm gonna go back out and come back in one more time to see if there's anything new here. See if Thugger Daily. By the way, y'all, if you don't use X, Twitter, do go to X, go to Twitter, follow Thugger Daily. I was just telling my wife that this is just an average Joe who took up the cause and remains anonymous and apparently works a 9-to-5 job and just does this like somehow while at work, but anonymously so that his employer won't know that he's at work tweeting and being a legal influencer, So y'all, that's all we have on this now. I don't see that we have any additional documents. Let me go back to Joseph Papp. Joseph Papp is also another guy who has a lot of these documents. Hold up. Let me see. Okay. No, Joseph Pop only had one of the pages too. So, y'all, I think we're gonna be back in tomorrow. Um, yeah, we're gonna be back tomorrow. We'll see what's gonna happen. So, a couple of things to look out for. Love, and Hylton are still gonna be there. Brian still has submitted his jury instruction. Seeing as how yesterday they literally ran out of stuff to talk about, if something similar happens tomorrow, we'll probably see some action on this jury instruction. Maybe, maybe we'll get some discussion about it. What else is supposed to be happening tomorrow, y'all? What else is because didn't I said in the video today that they literally ended court early yesterday because they ran out of they just ran out of stuff to talk about, even though there is nothing else was ready. In other words, there are other topics, there's other important matters to resolve or to advance, but it just didn't seem like they were ready to go further. What else? Let me see. Deadline for code conspirative statements. So tomorrow, y'all, with these the co-conspirator statements, it does, y'all. Let me tell y'all something. The defense is saying the state basically just dumped thousands and thousands of minutes of co-conspirator statements on them, and they haven't even cataloged them. And I think that's what y'all remind me of the name of the prosecutor, the guy who sits in between Love and Hylton. I forget his name, but he was saying he's going to create like a system and go through. So I doubt that's going to be ready for tomorrow. I mean, they're going to go through all of those statements and be able to identify all of the statements that they want to use. That's not going to be ready for tomorrow. The state says 6,000. Yeah, it's too much. Now, but that goes back to what we talked about in the video today. 2 years. They've had plenty of time to get this ready. Y'all, on some level, the state has probably just stretched a little thin, to be honest with y'all. They probably just stretched a little thin. It's probably just that they have certain resources. They have, I would imagine, hundreds and hundreds of criminal cases on the docket. They have a limited number of prosecutors, the state being actually Fulton County. They have a limited number of prosecutors. They probably just stretched too thin. Let's see. Julie said, hopefully some progress because who wasn't prepared. Varian says, you're right, Julie. Whitaker does keep making excuses for the state in Glanville when it comes to misconduct, and I'm waiting to see if it's because she is going to miss trial for coercion or she wants the spotlight. When you say coercion, what do you mean by that, Variant? Coercion in what sense? I don't feel that Whitaker is moving for a mistrial. But if she is, it's pretty clear she's not there yet, which could mean two things. If she's going to go for mistrial, she's not there yet, which in my opinion could mean one, she's ready, but she wants she wants more of a record to stand on, meaning she wants to document even more craziness so that she can justify it. So maybe she's there, but she just doesn't feel that the record is there. Like we might feel the record is there. We might say, well, what about the ex parte was really like the smoking gun for the mistrial. But Cross kind of, and maybe Whitaker just agrees with that. So maybe Whitaker just doesn't have a smoking gun, or she doesn't, in her own opinion, and remember, she hasn't gone through everything. She can't just say it's a mistrial because of all these complaints of the defense. Like she needs to review everything herself. So maybe she just hasn't gotten everything together yet. So maybe she's thinking, yeah, I could do a mistrial on this, but let me just review everything and get it all together. Or maybe she just doesn't think it's a mistrial for another reason. Like maybe she just isn't even leaning that way and she would need additional. So either way, she's not there because of a lack of evidence. Either she's not there because she couldn't justify it to somebody else, or she's not there because she just doesn't feel it's justified. But either way, the evidence has not raised to that level where she feels like it's justifiable. Varian Whitaker says that if she finds there was coercion. I got you, Variant, but coercion by who? Are you talking about coercion of Woody or Woody? Are you saying this is something I just don't remember her saying? So I'm just asking you to remind me. Are you saying that Whitaker said that if it turns out that Woody was coerced by the state, what is the coercion? Dwayne says, I hope Big Fonny is proud of this mess. When you mess with the Trumper, your world is going to shit. Okay, we got a Trump. Y'all, I would love to talk all the Trump Kamala. I would love to talk it, but I'm gonna stay away from that stuff for now. You know, we do a couple of political type of videos here and there, but I don't want to step in that. Julie says, by not addressing the misdeeds of the prosecution, she is excusing their bad acts, is telling the world and inspiring lawyers and prosecutors their conduct is acceptable. That is the real tragedy. Julie, this is what I want to say to you. I just don't think she's had enough time to fully familiarize herself with everything. And I also don't think she's had enough. I think by her not having been there personally and felt the emotion, and this is what Bruce Harvey was talking about. He's like, you're swooping in here after 6 months, after nearly 100 witnesses. You weren't here to feel the emotion. Like, you weren't here to get the human part of all this. Like, you could watch this back on YouTube, but you just weren't here. I think he had a great point. But the problem is he's attacking her directly, and she more or less called him out on that in court, and he had to back down. And of course, because I'm here, you're not going to attack me and tell me I can't understand stuff. I'm the judge in this case, but I still think he was right. And I think anybody could understand that he's right. So I am generally reluctant to ascribe bad intentions to somebody when lack of knowledge or lack of familiarity or some other reasonable explanation could be the case. I think for her, she wasn't there. She's not familiar with the whole record. She's trying to be neutral. I just think, now when you go back to Glanville, that's another story because he was there the whole time, so on and so forth. But I think Whitaker is I think she's just trying to get up to speed and trying to be as neutral as possible. So that's just me. Okay. I think when you say misdeeds, I think when you say protecting, one thing people have said that I agree with, and I think is quite clear, is that she wants to protect Glanville. That, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying it as in it's corruption, because Glanville did not commit a crime. You know, I saw like another creator call it the illegal ex parte meeting. I feel uncomfortable calling it illegal. I would call it inappropriate. I would call it whatever, a lot of words that mean that. But illegal, I'm not sure. When you say it's illegal, it almost sounds like something he could go to jail for. He's not going to jail for that. He's not facing a fine for that. So I don't know if I would say it's illegal. Injudicial, unjudicial, whatever that word is, that might be a better word. So she is protecting Glanville, but not from like criminal prosecution. She's trying to shield him from being embarrassed, from being dragged into the case, from being mocked, from being all of those things that come with having made this what most of us would consider a pretty serious error. So I do think she's protecting Glanville, and she's saying you won't use my court as a way to drag Glanville through the mud. Okay. So I do think she's doing that. Again, I'm not saying I think she is wrong for doing that. I'm not saying I think she's right for doing it. I just think it's pretty clear that is factually what she's doing. She's telling the defense, you can't use my court to go at Glanville. Okay. So let's see. Thomas McAndrew says, Whitaker said we've got to be careful Glanville is a respected judge. Yeah, I mean, again, factually speaking, Whitaker is rejecting attempts to essentially bring Glanville down a notch. Because when you put him on the witness stand and you get Brian Steele, who's going to control that interaction, it would be great for creators, for content creators. Like, you're talking about easy 100,000 views for somebody, for a small channel like me, and for big channels, you're talking about, who knows, 200,000-300,000 views. I mean, Brian Steele and Glanville, you talking about Tony Stark and Thanos. I mean, you really talking about getting it going. But Whitaker's like, nah, not in here. Not in here. Blake Andrews, witness tampering and improperly giving legal advice to the witness. Blake, the only problem with that is that what I just said, Whitaker wants to shield Glanville. Y'all, one of our most I don't want to say unpopular videos was the video where I said I thought that Glanville was going to survive recusal, which I've already said and I'm perfectly fine saying it again until the end of time. I was certainly wrong about that, obviously. But one of the things I said in that video was, if the judge wants to protect him, he has given her enough cover. And it just turned out she didn't want to protect him from recusal, from removal. Because Cross certainly could have, but she decided not to. But Whitaker right now does want to protect him. And she is using the power that she has at the moment to do so. So, Blake, I'm just not sure that, looking at the June 7th transcript, that Judge Whitaker sees favorably, is inclined to drag Glanville into this. That's the thing. So I'm not disputing that there seem to be problems there, but I just think there's a resistance to drag Glanville into this by this judge, and I think that there is a true reluctance to have another judge put onto the witness stand and essentially humiliated in front of the world, because that is what would happen. It would just become a humiliation. And I don't think she's going to let it happen. Okay. So I'm certainly not saying that, I'm not making an opinion as to whether or not she should do that, but I'm certainly making an opinion as to, she's already said she's not inclined to do it. She's shown that. John Yazell says the judge was clear on the recusal. It was for public interest only. Public interest only. I'm not sure what you mean, but yeah, the judge Cross on the recusal was clear that she did not remove Glanville due to the June 10th ex parte, but she made no mention of the June 7th ex parte. And it's not even clear that the defense knew about the June 7th ex parte at the time that they filed the recusal paperwork for Glanville. And it's also, I would not say not clear, it actually seems to be the case that they did not know about the June 7th ex parte until just a few days ago. And if they had known about the June 7th ex parte meeting, they would have likely made a slightly different argument for Glanville's recusal. We don't know exactly what they would have said, because that's history now. Yeah, Chris Guns, they didn't know about it. I only say likely because, I don't know what somebody knows, but it's true that they made no mention of it. They never alluded to it. And when they did publicly find out about it this week, many of them had a very surprised and kind of outraged reaction. So there's no indication that they knew about that before. Bump said they didn't know. Okay, so there you have it. Yeah, and I mean, all the evidence is they didn't know. So they made an argument about Glanville's recusal without even knowing the whole story. And this goes back to something Blake said. Well, why don't they just make an amended or supplemented motion to Cross to reconsider her finding of fact? I said I don't know if they can do that. I don't know if it's still an open matter for them to even make some kind of stuff. I don't know if that would have to go to an appeals court. I don't know if there's anything to appeal. I have no idea if or how that can happen, particularly because they got the result that they wanted. And Whitaker mentioned that in court. You got Glanville gone. You wanted him gone. He's gone. So, Chris Guns, Glanville needs to be cross-examined. Y'all, all I'm saying is if that were to happen, we content creators would be thank you, because everybody in the world would be watching that. That would be like primetime news, basically. So anyway, y'all, I'm going to just recap real quick and I'm going to close it out. I do want to thank everybody for joining me today. I want to shout out all of the channels that I've watched that have helped me get up to speed, that I think do a great job. Cat Not Williams, AV to the 7th Power, The Lead Attorney, The Lawyer Megan Cuniff, Infamous Sylvia. All these legal channels are the channels that I have gone to. I've seen interviews. Kayla Bumpus, she has a channel now. I've seen interviews. I've gotten analysis. I've gotten perspective. So all Eban. I haven't watched a lot of Eban. Eban's so I don't watch a whole lot of lives, and Eban's always live. But Eban, let's shout out Eban. Why not? Because I see Eban, he's live every day. Brother's working hard. I hear from Eban. I haven't watched a lot of his stuff, but I have heard him, and I'm like, that's a Baltimore dude right there. That's Eban gotta be from Baltimore. If there's a Baltimore accent, if I've ever heard a Baltimore accent, Eban gotta be from Baltimore. So let's shout him out. Thugger Daily, of course. Thugger Daily over on X. In Joseph Papp, Joseph Papp. Okay, so y'all, I follow everybody. I don't always watch everybody's stuff, but I certainly have popped in here and there. Thugger Daily is probably gonna be the most necessary source out of all of those because he's always on top of it. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and go. I appreciate everybody for being on this live. Thank y'all for watching. I'm going to be doing more lives now that y'all said you don't mind the bachata and the salsa and the merengue in the background. We'll just roll with it. And I want to thank y'all. See you next time. Let's see if I can get this thing stopped. I appreciate y'all. Have a good day.